Making this little video in light of what's going on currently in society, and also each astrologer, depending on the amount of length of study and understanding, will see different things. So I clearly don't know it all, and I don't think with astrology we ever can, but we can begin to see the energies playing out. In 1518 we had something called the Reformation, which meant that there was defining sort of fight about religion and the church, and there was also a lot of violence in Europe at that time. I suggest you Google the Reformation 1518 to do with Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, 1518, the Reformation. So I'm just going to push this chart forward and you can see what's going on, but we'll look at today briefly. What we have is Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn all retrograde at the moment. We also have a retrograde Venus, which is going to be moving back to 5 degrees. You'll see this as I push the chart forward. And we've got the Venus conjunct the Sun currently. That's our needs and our will, both, but also pointing out that we have got a retrograde there. The node where you can see are there. The nodes always move retrograde. The nodes are always moving around the chart this way. In 1518, which is interesting, if we take the 1st of June 1518, we can see also that the North Node was in Gemini and the South Node was in Sagittarius. This chart for some reason is not showing that it's in Gemini. It should be showing that, so I'm just going to push forward anyway. We've got Mars, which is our aggression, it's our desire. It's not all bad. Mars gets things going, but it can cause a lot of different things depending on what conversation it's having with another planet. So the conversation would be the degrees between one planet and another planet. So for instance, a square, if you know astrology, you're going to know this. A square is a 90-degree angle. A trine is 120 degrees. And then we have sextiles, 60 degrees, and semi-sextiles will be 30 degrees, and we'll have inconjunct. So there's so much on a chart and the way things can be read. But we're looking here that Chiron is the wound also of humanity and ourselves, depending on what house it falls in. That will be going retrograde later this year. And we're also going to have Mars go retrograde in September, and later in the year Uranus will go retrograde. We're going to have a Neptune retrograde as well. So all of these planets are moving. What we're going to do now is push forward. So I'm just going to go by days. This is the June the 1st, and we've got the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I'll just keep going. That's a week ahead. You can see that in a week's time that we're going to have a conjunction. We're already having it, but it's just going to get more intense. The conjunction with Mars and Neptune. But what I haven't done here, actually, the 5th of June, what we have is the 5th of June, we've got the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which is taking place. There's going to be a lunar eclipse, and it's going to be happening in Sagittarius, the lunar eclipse. And again, depending on what house it falls into us, that's where it will be defining. But what we're going to have at this point is we're going to have a square. You can see this T square. So there's a lot of tension right now that's taking place in society. We've got the moon here, we've got the sun, and we've got our needs and our values with a retrograde there, and we've got this T square. So again, I could go deep, but hopefully a few of you know what astrology, the meanings are out there. So let's go ahead to the end of June. Got it there, 30th of June. So on the 30th of June, we've got Saturn is retrograde, and it's going to be 0 degrees of it's going to be 0 degrees of Aquarius. So that's retrograde and it's going back. And on the 12th of January 2020, we had the Pluto-Saturn conjunction where they were both 22 degrees, and then Jupiter came along and the sun was there as well. And we're in for, you know, quite a ride really as human beings, resolving what we've got to resolve. Pluto is to do with birth, death, transformation. Saturn is to do with our restriction, and it's to do with patriarchy and rules and time and structure. And Jupiter is to do with higher learning, travel, and expansion, and spiritual beliefs and our belief systems. So expansion for better or for worse. And we've got Mars is our direction, you know, our sexuality as well, like what we desire and want, what we need to live and to move in life. It's our, you know, fire. And we can see there it will be 1 degree of Aries at that point, on that day of the 30th of June. And we've also then got that point, got Neptune kicks in to go retrograde as well. So as we move through, we've also got then the 5th of 5 degrees, sorry, on the Venus will be 5 degrees and it's no longer retrograde. So let's just see something here. I'm going to go back a day. So Venus going back, there you go. If you can see the R here, so it stations on the 24th of June, and then it will begin to go direct. And we can see that, you know, things are moving along. We've got Mars and squaring Mercury, and Mars squaring the Sun, it looks like there, and Mars also squaring the North Node, which is our direction. So we've got a rough sort of period ahead of us, but hopefully there's goodness within all of this, because it's very difficult, you know, trying to bring our needs together, because ultimately, you know, to me, I'm not religious, but God, you know, it's consciousness. So we can't speed up another person's consciousness. Like, we're born into the world in a, you know, at a particular time and date, and our consciousness is basically expanded by the experiences we have and the input and the imprints maybe that we come in with as well. So whilst we want the world to be a particular way and everybody to be aligned to a particular way of thinking, depending on what our beliefs are, whether it's for better or for worse, like, you know, if we believe we're conscious and awake, then we want to look after the planet. We want to, you know, make sure everybody's fed and watered and everybody's got, you know, a nice structure and they're doing work they love and nobody's, you know, experiencing trauma. But the nature of life is trauma. It's birth, death, regeneration. And we don't know, you know, so much evolutionary astrology. Yes, do I believe in past lives? I do to a degree. I've got no absolute proof, but I've got an inward knowing that, you know, that there have probably been pre-experiences to me being in this human body and even in the womb. And then beyond that, where we head and where we're heading as a collective as well, because we're not just here alone, we're supposed to be working together. And we've got belief systems that are very warped sometimes, and we've got other belief systems that are very beautiful and aligning with each other. So we can just dig on these charts and you can look at your own chart and see, you know, what it's playing out for you. For instance, these symbolisms up here are playing out in my second house. And I'm a Scorpio rising. So the second house is to do with values and my values. And what I've been working on is really reshaping myself and my values at this point in my life. This is what I'm working on. But if that symbolism falls in your, you know, 5th house or 6th house, it's going to mean something completely different what you're working on currently. Pluto takes 240 years on average to move around a chart. Saturn takes 29 years. It's to do with our maturity. And then we've got Jupiter, which is to do with our truth, you know, and what we believe and our belief systems. So we can just keep going forward, because what I'm going to do actually is take it by weeks ahead so I can speed this up. So let's say we've got the 24th of June there. We've got the 1st of July. You can see we've still got the retrogrades up here. And we've got, I want you to watch Mars, what happens here, which is important. So Mars is going along, and watch out for this Mars, because it's going to activate. We've got 17 degrees. We've got the square then to Mars. You can see that all of these planets are squaring Mars, which we can dig deeper on as well, you know, again on definitions. And we still got a square to Mars there. And then it's squaring 22, an exact sort of square going on there with 23, 22. And this is, you know, fire in Aries, fiery, you know, direction, aggression. So at this point, if we go skip ahead a little bit more, we're going to see that it's going to go retrograde 28. So there we go. So 27 degrees, let's get this correct. We've got it stations on the 9th of September at 28 degrees of Aries. And then if we go, let's take it by days. And we watch that, it's going retrograde, 27 degrees. It's going to go back again. So we've already squared Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. And then again, it's going to, that square is maintained as it goes back. What's that day there? You see here? Squaring. And then tension, we've got tension going on. So we've all got to look after each other and understand that these planets help us understand what energies we are working with. So if we understand astrology, then we can begin to, you know, glean from it. What do I need to do for myself? Because everything will start with self. You know, how I behave in the world, how I look after my own life reflects outwardly to the world, and then how I receive the world back to me as well. So we human beings are clearly at a big evolutionary point of adjustment, and we can see if we go again, we're going to get another square. So it's going to, Mars is going to hit 3 times up here. So I think let's just forward it to the end of the year and go months, and we've got 10th of October, 10th of November, 10th of December. And of course, all of these planets have moved forward, but this is the 10th of January, 2021. We've got, you know, a lot of, we've got a big stellium up here going on. So there you go. I'm going to leave it there. If you want me to look at your chart with you and dig into what it might mean for you, I'm doing a $20 till the end of June on charts on Zoom. I do a Zoom meeting, and I'm happy to discuss your chart with you and see what it looks like on your own particular chart with the knowledge that I've currently got. Thanks for watching.